Both of my parents passed away, and I'm the one who has to look after my baby brother. But the problem is, he's hard-headed. He doesn't really want to work, he doesn't want to go to school, he doesn't want to be part of our father's business that was left to me. So the one thing he wants to do is sit on the couch all day with his new girlfriend, Amanda. Living with your brother and his wife can be quite challenging, especially when they continuously drain your finances and make reckless investment decisions. My name's Ross, and I'm the owner of a successful car repair garage, but my life has been far from smooth sailing. Thanks to my FreeLoader brother Jason and his enabler wife Amanda. I take pride in my hard work and dedication, but Jason always manages to come up with these crazy investment ideas and leave me footing the bill. It's like he has a magnetic pull towards disastrous ventures, and despite his constant failures, Amanda always supports him and insists that I lend him money for his next big project. I've tried reasoning with him, explaining that I cannot keep financing their schemes, but it all falls on deaf ears. Jason is never discouraged by failure, and Amanda blindly encourages his entrepreneurship, convinced that one day it'll bring us financial success. But I know the harsh reality of this situation. Jason has skipped college, and he was maliciously inspired by those self-made billionaires who boast about being college dropouts. Jason got the wrong idea about them and insisted on quitting college just to become like them. But he did not realize that they've skipped college to make their ideas a reality. But Jason quit the college first and then started a search for a reason, an idea that might legitimize his irrational decision to quit the college. I had to pay a hefty amount for his admission from the insurance money of our father, as he died while repairing the freaking car on a stubborn customer. But Jason did not stop there, and he continued his adventurous life with his absolute crazy group of friends, who always came up with some crazy idea or the other. One time, some of his friends came up with the decent idea of starting a small cafe for college students. The business plan seemed to be working, and the location they chose was also advantageous. I agreed to give Jason a large chunk of my savings. He did not disappoint and was doing quite well, and business was profiting. But later, they got busted as they were doing illegal activities such as giving drinks to underage kids. And I'm glad there were no drugs involved. It took me some time to recover from the debt I had to endure to bail out Jason. Then he promised me that he would change with teary eyes and took an oath of our dead parents, which was very dramatic, as you can guess, but Jason, it's Jason we're talking about. He finally started working for a fast food chain, but in a far-away state, as nobody was giving him work due to his jail time. Though he was doing well there, which enabled me to focus on the family business, a car repair shop, as it was the only thing our immigrant father had to offer for us. My mother was a beautiful person with a heart of gold, but she passed away during the chaos that infused our country after a coup, and we had no other option but to flee from our country. I was like 8 or 9 years old when this all happened. I saw my mother drowning in the sea while my father was diving in and out of the Mediterranean Ocean to find her, while tiny Jason was unconsciously sleeping in the tight grip of my arms. Our father worked day and night, and I also helped him keep our small family afloat. I skipped the formative school years and learned the basics of car repair in my father's workshop. All these efforts made it possible for Jason to continue his schooling and live a normal life, as I was there with my father to make that happen without any obstacles. He was also a bright student, which was soothing for me, as at least my brother would become a scholar. My father always wanted me to become a school teacher, so that at least one generation of our family could be called academically literature, and not just peasants and blue-collar workers. But unfortunately, that never happened, all due to civil unrest. Even if my father was not literate, he was smart. He knew a lot of stories, and contrary to popular belief, he was a sensible man. He always told me that a man should think about the sky, but his feet should always be on the ground. I've used the teachings as mantra for my life. Perhaps it was only me who had the privilege to take the old man's wise words seriously. Jason, he was never a listener, so he never learned what my father and I had to teach him as a life lesson. The constant pat on the back from the teachers and students made Jason feel like he was a king, and we were all like his subjects. More like what a shepherd does to a herd of sheep. But Jason overestimated himself, and his fall was so massive that he never recovered from the clutches of his egotistical dream world. He failed to accept his follies, and as my father said, now he's become a deaf man with a loud mouth. Even our father's death did not have a significant impact on his stubborn mindset. He was a relative with loads of tears and not a penny of remorse or gratitude for the dead. He should have helped me with our garage, but instead he chose to stay late with friends, never telling me what he was doing in his life or any sort of short-term goals. Let alone a long-term one. It was frustrating, but I had to feed the mouse and hope that one day the plague would just go away. Jason's behavior, it became more and more rash and impulsive after the cafe incident. He started being suspicious that even I could not recognize if he was the same kid who was lying in my arms so calmly while the ocean was swallowing our people. I guess he was not one of us, but rather he had become a different sort of migrant breed who tries to be something extraordinary and ends up losing their inherited identity, and also the ones they made by winning a few good men. As a result, neither their own people nor the people of the host country recognized them as their own, and in a bad way, and Jason had become just that. After a few months of his escapades at the fast food chain, he came back with a girl, Amanda. She was also working with him at that same food chain, and later they got close. He told me that the manager wanted to take advantage of Amanda, and when Jason retaliated, the manager threw them both out. So all this happened within the first month, and later they both worked odd jobs till they finally ran out of ideas and came back to me. Well, one of my friends is a truck driver, and he seldom crosses the state's fast food shops and motels, especially in the town where Jason was said to be working. So, that truck driver friend of mine had told me that one of the fast food corners became the buzz of a town, as two of the employees were caught by the manager as they were giving away fake coupons for higher prices. The alleged employees ran away from the scene and the town as soon as possible before the manager could take them to the police for fraud. I could not help but notice that the description quite matched my brother and his girlfriend, or whatever Amanda was. I was missing my beloved brother Jason, and he is my own family, but I was quite relaxed knowing he has at least become a responsible man, but I could not be more wrong. And the surprising thing was that Amanda was also of the same temperament as Jason. Together, they formulated lots of plans and plots of dreaming of being rich with shortcuts, but they did not have the one thing that they were looking for. Of course, it wasn't me, but the money I was saving by running our father's car repair garage. They were always on their toes to reap the benefits of my caring and fatherly nature. Jason was my responsibility after my father, and I could not let down the dead man. I did manage to buy a house and give a good life to both of the freeloaders, as I worked hard and succeeded in doubling our profit by expanding our garage business. But the problem was that Jason and Amanda were always on their toes to rip out the benefits of my caring nature. They made me lose a large sum of money, which I was saving to start another shop on a highway. Whenever I gently confronted them about their reckless behavior, they both always blamed the circumstances, or else they would start blaming each other and have a big fight, and some days of cold treatment until I intervened and gave them a bit of cash to have some alone time outside of the home. And they always came up with a plan after a few days. This had become a set pattern. They would emotionally bind me to give money, then they would fail, and they would fight, blame each other, and after a week or two, they would both come back with another plan with acute synchronization. And I've turned a blind eye to their bullseye as I was bound by my family duties. But it was getting on my nerves. My frustration grows with each passing day, and I grow tired of being taken advantage of. I cannot continue to enable them, so I devised a plan to hold Jason accountable for his actions while also giving him a chance to learn the value of hard work and responsibility. So I took the opportunity of a dinner table to give Jason to listen to me. For that, I took a day off from my workshop, which I do not usually do, but it was necessary. I decided to prepare food for both of them for the dinner of their liking, while both were busy doing some wandering on the streets, passing time with friends or God knows what. Honestly speaking, I really don't know what they actually do. I just hope they don't get in any legal trouble. I don't have any insurance money now to spend on their bail, nor have I looked to sell the house or the garage. I have to move quickly, then the nightmare comes true, and these two demons called Jason and Amanda are not going to wait for a full moon or a solar eclipse to cause trouble. So dinner was ready, and their faces were quite surprised to see that I've made their favorite dishes. Though it is me who mostly prepares the food here, they both try to do less of everything and more of nothing productive. It was, I guess, also the day Jason, I, and our father came to this land and took our first steps in this country. Jason probably would not have remembered, as he was quite young, and I had been hauling him on my back ever since. Amanda liked my cooking expertise and tossed around the idea of opening up a fancy restaurant and selling authentic dishes. Before I could say a word of gratitude, Jason interrupted and said that he would need a lot of money to build that since the property rates were skyrocketing. And just when I was about to agree, Amanda came up and said that when we should mortgage the house or the garage. I had to raise my voice, and I did it with conviction that the garage was not for sale. Jason jumped in my support and continued that the garage is our father's only souvenir left that reflects his struggles. Well, I was feeling quite proud of Jason, but it was Jason, and I could not be too quick to judge. As he said, we can mortgage our house and start a business, and he'll borrow the rest of the money from a private money lender, who is one of his friend's friends. Amanda and Jason got so excited and pumped up as usual and started making plans about the restaurant and what they would do with the profit, etc. I dabbed a fist on the table gently, and finally they stopped and looked at me to ask for my opinion. I finally revealed why I organized the dinner for them. I offered Jason a job at the car repair shop, knowing full well the reluctance that he would feel. It's not what he had in mind, but it's the best opportunity he's going to get. I made it clear that he must work off his mounting debt and prove his dedication to turning his life around. And in return, I promise him that if he puts in a year's worth of hard work, I will make him a partner in the business. Surprisingly, Jason accepted my proposal, albeit very reluctant. The path to redemption is undeniably challenging, but his desperation outweighs his pride. I see a glimmer of hope in his eyes, a glimmer of determination. Maybe this plan will work out after all. Amanda also supports my proposition, and they both agree to work their heads off to prove themselves. Well, months pass by, and Jason does prove himself through sheer hard work and dedication. His sacrifices, his evenings and weekends, fully immersing himself in the world of car repair. I'm genuinely impressed with his transformation, and my trust in him begins to rebuild. It was like finding the brother I never had when we were kids. I could see the same determination and playful smarts my little brother Jason had when he was a bright young kid. Our father would be quite proud to see both of us doing good things in life and progressing together. I finally felt that I could be free from his responsibility and start to focus on my own life. Find a girl to marry, start a family. But life has a cruel way of throwing us off balance, and on Jason's birthday, everything takes a turn for the worse. As we celebrate the occasion, I ask him what his wish is for, hoping for a reasonable answer. Little did I know that his response would shatter any remaining faith that I had in him. He was the same Jason I never liked, and the change that he showed was nothing but an act that they were both enacting, I guess, to impress me. With excitement filling his voice, Jason unveils his latest investment idea, an offshore company promising double returns within the first few months. All he needed is for me to mortgage the house and garage to provide the necessary funding. My heart started to sink as I realized that he has not learned anything from our past experiences. I stand my ground, explain to Jason the irrationality and potential risk associated with his latest scheme, but he remains unwavered, persuading me that this time it'll be different. The prospect of finally achieving financial success blinds him to a reason. We had a heated argument, as he was not ready to see the authenticity of his plan. I said clearly that I would not invest this time, so he asked me for his fair share of the property in his inheritance. I stated that for that he needs to travel a distant country, but then he blurts out that he also has a right to claim the property of our father. I gave him a very daunting look, but unlike other times, he was not stepping back, as Amanda was also in his support. He lowered his voice but demanded to have half of the garage and the land, and I just wanted to slap him. But then I remembered that my father had given me the responsibility to keep Jason out of harm's way. So, I sat back in my chair and agreed to surrender with a heavy voice. But I put a condition that I would not let him mortgage the garage. Instead, I would mortgage my house and put aside savings of my own to give him the money amount that he needed to fit their needs. After that, I let them stay in my house and kept on doing things as usual. Jason and Amanda got back to their previous lifestyle patterns like nothing ever happened. I was feeling defeated in my own game and distant in my own house. I wanted to break apart from Jason and his mess, but this duty of a big brother and promised my father was crushing my soul. My father did think that I might be able to change Jason, or else he would hit maturity after a certain age, but neither of that happened. I stopped talking to them after that for a month, and I could only listen to their vague talks whenever I happened to go to the kitchen to have a glass of water in the middle of the night. It was not sounding pleasant, though. This cold treatment continued for a month. Finally, Jason and Amanda tried to appear friendly to me, and I pleaded to pardon them like a big brother, and that's what I've been doing ever since. Anyways, they also showed me the profit that they were making, and I'm not gonna lie, it was impressive. I congratulated them and kept my distance to keep myself away. I was a bit happy that maybe this time Jason really did make a mark, but it was Jason and we had to wait to see the whole picture. Though they both were determined to make me do what they wanted, and to make amends, Jason and Amanda decided to throw a lavish home party. At first, I was distrustful, but their apparent genuineness convinced me to temporarily set aside my doubts. I allowed myself to relax to enjoy the evening, not suspecting an ulterior motive behind their sudden change in attitude. But as the night progresses, I start to notice subtle signs of deceit, and a whispering conversation, furtive glances, and the feeling of something is not quite right. The realization comes crashing down on me when I stumble upon Jason and Amanda having a hushed argument in the study. It was like the same old midnight conversational tones that I've often heard in the middle of the night from the kitchen. But this time I could hear more clearly as I was not sleepy. They stopped talking the moment they heard the sound of my footsteps. They suddenly came out of the room, like I caught them red-handed or something. I asked them to be nice, good host, and serve the guest, and they nodded awkwardly scared and hurriedly walked away to the hallway. I said I wanted to use the washroom, and I went into the room and saw a bunch of books disheveled. I was surprised, as I've never seen either of them reading books since the day that they've arrived. Anyways, I put the books in the right order, and while I was doing it, I came across a piece of paper peeping out of a small gap. It took me a bit of a stretch to get a hold of it, as there were a bunch of them lying there. As I took a good look, I realized what exactly Jason and Amanda were planning. The papers. Well, they suggested that Jason wanted me to surrender the business to him and his girlfriend. He basically wanted me to let him destroy our father's years of hard work for his utter greed. I could not let burglars like them steal my father's legacy. They would certainly cash in on the business by selling all the assets and, probably moving to another country. I have to be prepared to take the right actions while keeping it together, as I'm alone in this fight. I've made up my mind to take legal action against my own brother. Am I in the wrong here? Update number 1. Hey guys, I've read all the comments and would like to thank all of you for supporting my decision. As the sun rose, and on the new day, the warmth of hope is overshadowed by a bitterness of betrayal. Determined to save my father's business and clear my name, I seeked legal counsel. The battle that follows unfolds in a haze of legal jargon, negotiations and overwhelming stress. I was on the downside here, as I legally don't own the whole property, as it was ancestral one and Jason holds equal shares of it. Unlike my house, which I own wholly, but is in the mortgage because I trusted my own brother. My savings have also been burnt up quite recently, since the day Jason came up with a stupid fraudulent plan and made me put my life earnings on it. Jason and Amanda, driven by their greed and desperation, resort to every trick in the book to discredit me. They paint a compelling picture of me as a villain. Even twisting the truth to manipulate those around us. It seems as though I'm alone in this fight, facing not only the loss of my business, but also potential legal consequences. Jason and Amanda blamed me for taking advantage of their poor situation and treating them harshly as I compelled them to work tirelessly in the garage for months. And I also forced Jason to sign a legal document to make him give all the business and land to me. When Jason denied it, I threatened to throw them out of the house, so they were basically helpless as they had debt to repay. They were all buying the false statements, as Amanda was clever in persuading people to believe her with all the tears and sorrowful voices. I knew beforehand about her deceitful character, but my own brother has been like that, so I can't complain. But I refuse to give up. I gather evidence, track down witnesses, and fight tooth and nail to prove innocence. Every fiber of my being is dedicated to preserving my reputation of standing tall against those who seek to tear me down. It was a losing battle, as I had no alibi in this case, as Jason had Amanda and vice versa. They portrayed me as a tyrant and also raised suspicion that I wanted our father to die, as he was investing more in Jason's studies. They proved that I was nothing but a jealous older brother who could not accept his little brother growing rich and successful. My single life also got attention, as Jason remarked that I've never been good with girls, and I got so jealous when it came to Amanda that I deliberately spoiled their wedding planning. The accusations have emotionally gotten me more unbearable, and it makes me just feel tired and damaged, and I cannot take it any longer. Update number 2. Months have passed, and the legal battle reaches a crescendo in the courtroom as I step into the well-lit room. My heart races with a bit of anticipation, and the weight of injustice hangs heavy. But this time I was armed with evidence and a firm resolve. So, listen up. I gathered myself up and started collecting evidence and witnesses that came up to the case in my favor. All the minute details, bank statements, police case against Jason, and how I bailed him out, it all worked, but still the case was not about the character of a person, but rather who was the rightful owner of the garage and land on which we settled. I succeeded in proving my innocence against the character assassination done by my very own brother and his girlfriend Amanda. But For my father's legacy, the garage, which was so close to his heart and the reason for me to keep working there, I was about to get torn apart. I tried to convince my brother not to fight in court and to keep family matters inside the family. I agreed to give my house to them, but then they reminded me that they wanted all of the garage and that they would buy another house after the matter was settled in court. The verdict goes in Jason's favor, and as it was going to, but he failed to get all of the chunk of the stuff that he wanted except for what was rightfully his. Later, he sold the land and his side as he always wanted, and I could no longer run the garage as I would have to spend a lot of money to rebuild it. I also had to pay the loan that I took for my brother's wild endeavors. So, I decided to sell my side of the land and the remaining functional parts of the garage. I raised enough money to pay off the loan and get my house back. But now, I don't want to stay here anymore. My father's garage is gone, and so are my aspirations for my brother. I'm now going to sell the house, and I'm thinking of settling into a different town. At least I'll find some peace in the company of pastors and simple folk like me. Update number 3. Hey guys, final update. It's been months since the courtroom betrayal. I'm now living in the countryside, as I've bought a small farm and a house with basic facilities, enough for a single man. The town folk are welcoming, and it did not take me long to be a part of their familyhood. In my neighborhood lives an elderly couple with their daughter, who is quite a wonderful person. I think I might end up finally having a family of my own, as things are going pretty well with my neighbors. Though I'm sorry for Jason and Amanda. Their deceitful characters did not take them very far. I got a call a week ago from Jason. He was crying loud and told me that the company in which he invested all the money was actually doing illegal activities, and the federal authorities seized all the business in the country. But he did not want money from me. Instead, he was asking me to bail him out as he got caught by the police for selling drugs. Amanda also left him when he lost all the money, and she ran away with the little savings that he had. I simply told him that now he's mature and a responsible man, and such a person should face the consequences whether they're good or bad. This will be my last update. I firmly believe that karma's going to give all people what they ultimately deserve. Hereafter, I'm going to be an unwavering believer in karma. Let me know what you guys think of it. So I do want to hear from you guys on this story because we just found out at the end of this story, Ross, who is OP, he tried to give every single benefit of the doubt he could to his younger brother, tried to help him out, give him money. A lot of the commenters were even saying that he was a floor mat most of the time. So I want to hear your opinion, now that we know the whole story, about what you would have done at the end of this story when OP's brother comes crying back to OP about his girlfriend running away with the savings, about how he's in jail for fraud, and now he just needs OP to bail him out. OP says, you know what? I'm done. I'm not doing it. Move to a whole nother city to live in the Outlands. So let me know your thoughts about that, guys. Drop your opinions in the comment section. This story was a wild ride. If there's any more updates about it, you will be the first to hear. Smash that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And just remember one thing. It's cool to be kind. See ya!